We're going to start with experiment 2, a molar mass from freezing point depression. Step 1, using a pipette aid, pipette exactly 20 mils of cyclohexane into the apparatus. I've already set up the apparatus here, so we've got the ring stand, the iron gauze, and then we've got our beaker with water and ice. We've got a little stir rod so that we can make sure that the consistency stays as such. And we've got our test tube, thermometer, and another stirring stick in our test tube. So we're going to pipette 20 mils. I'm going to use a 10 mil volumetric pipette, and I'm just going to do it twice. And here we've got the cyclohexane. I'm just going to leave it slightly open like that because once I put the cyclohexane in there, I'm going to want to close it right away. The cyclohexane is very volatile, so to make sure that the volume stays consistent throughout the experiment, I want to make sure to close the lid. The reason why we're using a volumetric pipette is that they're a lot more accurate when measuring the volume of the solution. So using the meniscus, I'm going to make sure to get exactly 10 milliliters in the pipette. Place that into my apparatus. Close the lid and get another 20 milliliters. Just like that. And again, make sure to close the lid in a timely manner. Now that the cyclohexane is inside the ice water bath, I'm going to use the stir rod and stir the cyclohexane a little. After the temperature has dropped 14 to 15 degrees Celsius, so when I first started the experiment, the temperature was at 25 degrees Celsius, and now it's at 19 degrees Celsius. All right, now we're at 13. So I want it at about 10 degrees Celsius. We got 11, And we're at 10 degrees Celsius. Begin recording the temperature to the nearest 0.1 every 15 seconds. So we're at 9 degrees Celsius. 9.4 degrees Celsius. 8.4 degrees Celsius. 8 degrees Celsius. 7.3 degrees Celsius. 7 degrees Celsius. 6.9 degrees Celsius. 6.5 degrees Celsius. 6.1 degrees Celsius. 'We're still at 6.1 degrees Celsius. We are at 6 degrees Celsius. As you can see, the cyclohexane has now frozen. So we're going to remove it from the beaker. And we're going to allow the cyclohexane to melt again. We're going to use it for another experiment. So now that the cyclohexane has melted, we're going to redo it. So I'm going to put it in here and then wait till it drops about 10 degrees Celsius. Not quite, because it wasn't that high this time. So our initial temperature is 11 degrees Celsius. So after 2 minutes, it reached 6 degrees Celsius. Now it's at 5.8 degrees Celsius. And it hasn't yet completely frozen. It's still at 4.8 degrees Celsius. .7 degrees Celsius. It's still at 4.5 degrees Celsius. Still at 4.5 degrees Celsius. You can see the cyclohexane is starting to freeze. Still at 4.5 degrees Celsius. Now the cyclohexane has completely frozen and it's still at 4.5 degrees Celsius. So we're going to remove the beaker and we're going to let the cyclohexane melt. Obtain 2 pieces of wax paper marked each for recognition. Here I've got sample 2 and I've got 0.11 grams of sample 2. And then here I've got sample 1 and I've got 0.243 grams of sample 1. So I'm going to transfer the first sample into the apparatus. Now that I'm ready to go, I'm going to put the beaker back up here. And I'm going to put my cyclohexane back in, or just at the top for now. Open it up just slightly. Pour sample 1 inside. I'm going to stir that. Until it's clear. All the solid, including any on the walls of the apparatus, must dissolve before measurement can begin. So I still have a little that's undissolved. Okay, now that it has all dissolved, I'm going to place it in the ice bath. I'm going to cool the solution to about 14 to 15 degrees Celsius and then record the temperature at a 15-second intervals. So I've already got 14.5 degrees. So it's now at 13 degrees. 12 degrees. 11 degrees. 10 degrees. 9 degrees. 8 degrees, 7 degrees, 6 degrees, 5 degrees, 4.5 degrees, 4 degrees, 4 degrees, 3.8 degrees, 3.5 degrees, 3.4 degrees, 3.3 degrees, 3.2 degrees. Now that the cyclohexane has completely frozen, the temperature is 3 degrees. So I removed the apparatus from the beaker and I'm going to allow the solution to melt completely. I'm just going to put my hand on it to help it out a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and add sample 2 into the test tube. So as you can see, it's starting to melt. We're almost there. All right, it's all melted again. So I'm just going to put it up here, but I'm not going to put it in the ice bath just yet. I'm going to open it up just a little bit. I'm going to put sample 2 in there. Close it. Make sure sample 2 dissolves completely. Now that it's completely dissolved, I'm going to place it in the ice bath. So the temperature is still at 17 degrees Celsius. So I'm gonna wait until it reaches about 10 degrees Celsius, and then I'll start measuring in 15-second intervals. All right, now that the temperature has reached 10 degrees Celsius, (9 degrees Celsius, 8 degrees Celsius, 7 degrees Celsius, 6 degrees, 5 degrees, 4.2 degrees, 4 degrees, 3.5 degrees, 3.1 degrees, 3 degrees, 2.9 degrees, 2.5 degrees, 2.1 degrees, 2 degrees, and as you can see, the cyclohexane is completely frozen at 2 degrees. That should give you all the data you need for the results section and your post lab.